Strap in with the headphones.
Let's do it.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Love it.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, episode 1 of the Blake Chancey Podcast. I'm stoked to have you here today. Brandon Smith of New Vision Projects, custom home builder, home renovator, also House of Logger. You just finished up construction on this year too. I want to dive into that a little bit later. Couple other things about Brandon. He is a father of 2. His goal is 1 million roofs, over 1 million heads. It's an ambitious goal. Love that.
It is.
Also host of the Open Concept Podcast, which I had the pleasure of being on earlier this year. Appreciate that. So stoked to have you on, bro.
Dude, happy to be here, man.
Yeah.
Super honored. Episode number 1, one of many. Really excited to be here.
Yeah.
Studio looks awesome. Just diving into the world of podcasting. I can't wait to see more and more of your content.
Yeah.
Very, very blessed. Appreciate the tour today and can't wait to get into you.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah. Stoked to have
Let's
you
go.
on. We see each other almost every day at the gym. We've been talking about this for a little while. Got working on this room about 6-7 weeks ago and finally have it to a place where we're ready to roll.
Yeah, man.
So we're here.
It looks awesome. It looks really great.
Yeah.
And sound is good. When I first started the podcast, the Open Concept Podcast, I remember I really wanted to start a podcast for a long time, but it was like all of these barriers. It was this time frame. Dude, I have enough time? Were people going to listen? I bought the equipment and it sort of sat next to my desk for a month and a half before I even looked at it. I just knew that I wanted to do it, but there was all these little barriers of just figuring out how to plug stuff in, and that on its own seemed like a challenge.
Yeah.
And it was once just dove into it and said, we're going to get it. We're going to get in some reps. We're going to start figuring out audio, visual, just really start getting through that. I knew it was just going to become easier because I've been through so many, I've learned so many new things, so many different times that you understand that at these early stages, you really know nothing and you can't pretend that you do. But that was a challenge. Like that in itself was a barrier. The idea of how do I get a podcast? How do I get the camera to work?
Yeah.
And then how do I get on the computer? How do I record?
Yeah.
And then what do I do with that recording? Where does it go? How do I get that onto Spotify? How do I get that onto YouTube? How do I get that onto iTunes? Like where are people going to listen? And then it was this, okay, well now I figured out the technical side of things, but what are we going to do to actually get people to listen? How are we going to get viewability? And then it was thinking about thumbnails and it was thinking about capturing people's attention and all of this stuff that you start. But I guess what I'm saying, man, is I'm stoked that you're taking that leap into getting the ball rolling, because once it gets moving, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think there's always resistance to starting anything new, right? And like audio engineering, technical stuff, everything that we had to do to get this kind of put together, like that's not our specialty. And that's why we hire professionals to do those things. Like there was definitely a couple weeks where I had all the equipment sitting here ready to go, and I still wasn't reaching out to Dan from the Speakeasy Podcast to come in here and set it up for me, because there's a little bit nervous, a lot of excitement, and then like things are obviously going to get really real fast once we started putting this room together, and almost a little bit of pressure too. Like, okay, like this has always been a dream of mine to start a podcast. It's not going to be based on real estate at all. I just want to, have conversations with other people that I like to hang out with and discuss life, entrepreneurship, health, fitness, wellness, everything like that with. But yeah, there's always resistance, and like, there's always the thing of, oh, it's not quite perfect. I'll push this off. What if I get a better microphone? Oh, something new technology wise came out. Should I get a different camera? This, that, and the next thing. And I think for everybody, we all struggle with a ton of excuses and resistance to get started on something. But like, just even sitting down here right now, it feels great to finally be here, man.
I think once you wrap your head around the fact that in any business, right, every single business is going to be broken. There's going to be some part of that business that is broken always. But your job as the leader of the organization is to understand which problems you need to fix and when.
Yeah.
So what are the highest priority things to fix? But once you realize that there's like nothing is perfect
Ever.
I remember one of the first podcasts I recorded, had a really great friend of mine into the studio, recorded it we went an hour and a half. It was a fucking awesome podcast.
Yeah.
Caught none of the audio.
I hear that story a lot.
Because you could hear in the headphones, it was working. It looked like it was recording. The video was going, but the audio was dead.
Yeah.
And this is one of these things where it's like, man, okay, not only is it a friend of mine, and I don't want to waste his time, but it's embarrassing. I had to go and do that. But you know what? Came back, we knocked it out of the park with a second podcast that was even better. Glad that it happened. But what I learned from that was I'm glad I did go through that. It's like it really sucked at the time. And I think that's what comes up often in any types of those situations is like, it really sucks at the time, but as long as you can learn from that and move forward, then it's going to be awesome. And what it did is it forced the idea of now we have to put a checklist in place and we have to follow that checklist. And one of the things that we do every single time before we record is do a test recording to make sure that everything is working.
Absolutely.
And I use that because I never want to go through that again. But those types of things are going to come up. And once you know, hey, I'm going to get into this, there's going to be some speed bumps. I have this white belt mentality where I'm just like, I'm good to get thrown around. You walk through the door, you don't have a big ego on your shoulders. You're just ready to learn. And that's sort of the exciting part. And that's where you start seeing the most growth in anything as well. And that's like on a lot of times where the most excitement is. Yeah. But then to like carry through the momentum is in you as you start getting better and better and doing more and more to carry up that momentum. It's in these like smaller details and these smaller iterations, right? Much like when I'm on a fitness plan right now, it involves lifting, cardio, and measuring what I'm eating. Yeah. And in the early stages, right away, the first like 16 days of this cleanse, first 16 days of the program, you do this cleanse, drop a bunch of weight, you're feeling really good, but then you start getting down to you hit a wall, you hit some resistance, and now you're fighting for these last reps. You're fighting for like half a pound at a time versus like 2 pounds a day or a pound a day. You're fighting for this like half a pound every few days. And it's just like these little refinements that like they can keep you really engaged and excited, but you have to enjoy that. And you have to be prepared for that because you will lose momentum. Yeah. And that's why it's to keep up momentum. Like you need to have it in your calendar. You need to have it
for sure.
Really like put some tension on it. Yeah. Or you're going to end up in the, what I was afraid of when I started podcasting was I'm going to do 5 or 6 episodes and it's going to fizzle out. And we're never going to do it. I'm going to put it on the back burner. It's not going to happen. So if you're going to do anything wholeheartedly, like you got to jump in
and you got to stay consistent. Like, what do they say? There's millions of podcasts out there, but 99% of podcasts won't get past the 18th episode. And I think you're on episode 38 or 39.
Yeah. We just released episode 38.
Nice.
And that's for this, just started it this year, but we're trying to do 2 a week was the goal. And then there had some weeks there with my birth of my youngest daughter now where there were some delays and stuff there.
Yeah, you've got some different priorities during that. It's okay.
There's some priorities that popped up, but what comes with that is just the level of focus on certain aspects. You can't be dabbling in everything. You can, but you're never going to get anywhere with that mentality because you're going to be spread too thin.
For sure.
You're never going to get past the surface of this, this not even intermediate yet, this beginner mentality or this beginner, you're going to get beginner results.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
And so if you don't put in the time, the reps into anything, then you're never going to become masterful.
Yeah. And in those times where things are ultra challenging, like on your weight loss journey and fitness journey right now, you lose all this weight very quickly if you're dialed in with your diet and you're sticking to the program. And then you're going to have a ton of resistance because I think for most people, you can see some quick results in fitness and then shortly after that, you're gonna hit a barrier because, you know, you're putting so much more good food into your body. You're just sticking to a good routine. You're making sure you're hydrated, and weight and water weight will also come off, right? And so people see, you know, they get all this excitement like, oh, I lost 8 pounds in the last 14 days. This is incredible. And they think that trajectory is going to stay the same, and it doesn't. But then if you continue on with it, then you're going to see the life lasting results of those tough times, because then you're going to be, you know, you're gaining a bit of muscle, you're losing body fat, and then the real transformation starts to happen from the inside out. And it's not just like water weight and surface level results.
Well, I think the focus is not on the immediate results, but it's increasing the benchmark incrementally over time.
Yeah.
And that's what that we need to do. Really to make any sort of meaningful change.
Yeah.
And this is, you know, this can be said in business, in real estate, right? If you're looking at a benchmark of whatever that is, if you're looking at really moving that needle and holding it, you have to look at increasing that benchmark. Whether it's, if you look at things like if you had a graph and you're looking at your benchmark of, hey, usually have X amount of money in the bank.
Yeah.
If I were to rate myself out of 10 as far as my level of happiness, it would be here. Like the level, the amount of times I'm spending with my friends, the amount of days that I'm working out, the amount of cold calls that I'm making, whatever that is, like that benchmark, it can fluctuate a lot momentarily. Mm-hmm. If you decide that you're going to be putting time and effort into it for a very short period of time. Yeah. And then, but most people kind of, they go through that and like, oh man, that was exhausting. I'm going to cool that thermostat a bit and get back down. But like, it takes an unnecessary amount of effort and dedication to increase that benchmark. It's like,
yeah, for sure.
Cool. If I'm used to having $50,000 in my bank account, or 10 grand or $1,000 or whatever that is, and you sort of fluctuate and sort of stay in that zone, to make that jump to double that so that becomes the new benchmark. It's tough to make happen for a lot of people. And it's because you turn that temperature up, you get really hot, you go at it for a little while, things get too hot, and you dial it back down and you cool back off. And this is the same thing you see in fitness. This is why people gain so much weight so quickly. They drop weight so quickly, is because they'll eat, and then they'll not eat for 3 months and shed some weight, and then all of a sudden your body's like, hey, fuck off, what are we doing here?
Yeah, what are we doing?
I don't like this, let's figure it out. And then you're like, okay, I look pretty good, I feel pretty good, so now I don't feel so bad about going in and eating the cookies in the cupboard. So you look for the cookies in the cupboard, and then it's just these bad habits that start kicking back again. But to like kick that for good and set this new benchmark at the new weight, new level of happiness, new number of homes being sold, whatever that is, to reset that benchmark, that's where that dial, I think, needs to be, or that intention needs to be in people's minds if they're looking to make meaningful change.
Yeah, you can't half-ass anything, honestly. Like, if you have something that you want to do, you have to go wholeheartedly on it, and then, you know, stick with the plan for a very long time. I think any really, really successful people that I follow, there's no overnight success. You know, a quote from Gary Vaynerchuk, when I met him back in 2014, he was like, it takes 8 years to become an overnight success. And of those other realtors that I was amongst and having a mastermind with, you know, they were all like, oh, it took me about 10, 11 years before I actually felt, you know, quote unquote successful. And I mean, success can mean a whole bunch of different things to each individual. And I think one of the things about entrepreneurship and life in general is the goalpost can always shift. Like if I went back into the start of my real estate career, it's like, okay, I wanted to sell like 6 homes in my first year. I hit that. That is so below what I'm looking to do on a year-to-year basis now. And a side note, one of the best things that I ever did for my business was shift from how many homes I wanted to sell to how many people I want to help. Right. And when I made that shift, because, you know, I got into real estate to make a good living, make a career, have some stability. But it was also scary. You know, I had a good job before, making a decent salary, and it was stable, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, check in, check out. Off my brain after that. Over the weekend, didn't matter. And then back in on Monday. But getting into real estate and actually helping people making this meaningful purchase or sale and helping them through that, like I literally, the energy in my body that I feel right now, even thinking about the people that I've helped recently, is something so special. And I'm sure you feel the same way with your industry and how you get to help out people too. And then with your podcast as well, man, like it's been close to a year and you're almost on episode 40. So I love to see the dedication and you sticking with that, and then just learning, like going through tough times. And there's probably weeks where you're like, oh, I don't really want to do this week. I've got these other challenges, X, Y, and Z, whether it's personally, professionally, but you're still sticking to your program. You're still saying, okay, 2 week is the bare minimum. That's what we're doing. And I'm just going to do this for the foreseeable future. Maybe it'll get to 3 episodes one day or per week. Maybe it'll be, 150 episodes every year. And, that really takes me back into, a funny thing about Graham Stephan. He's a financial guy on YouTube, and he had a fitness expert on his podcast, I don't know, 6 months ago, and a reel came up. He's like, I'm struggling. I go to the gym every day for 3 years and I can't lose any weight. Now the guy's like, have you ever tracked calories? He's like, no. He's like, I have dessert every night. He's like, well, it's just like investing, Graham. You need to track and you need to be focused on what you're bringing into yourself and to what you're putting out. It's just like compound interest. If you're having a cookie at the end of every night and that's adding 300 calories to your daily calories, then you're not going to be losing weight over time. You're probably going to be gaining weight and not seeing the results you want to see. But if you stick to the program, don't eat that cookie, do your 2 podcasts, your 3 podcasts every week, you're going to get to somewhere where you wanted to be from the get-go. And you need to remind yourself why you got into doing what you're doing in the first place.
If it matters to you, it should be measured.
Yeah.
If it matters to the company, it should be measured.
Yeah.
If it matters, it should be measured.
Yeah.
And the idea of going to the gym, if the only thing that matters, if the only thing that you're measuring is the amount of days that you're walking through that door, then that's fine. But that's
totally,
that's
100%.
the result that you're going to see is,
yeah.
And for me, that was a long time, or, I did that for a long time. For me, the most important thing was I was just getting through that door. Yeah. And I knew that I wasn't going to track food. You always eat, I always ate pretty healthy, but it was the idea of just getting through the door was the first place to start. And if I could do that, then I knew good things were going to happen. Mm-hmm. I didn't really care. I wasn't really trying to cut down to a specific body fat percentage. I wasn't specifically trying to push a certain amount of weight. I wasn't measuring it. I just knew when I left there, I felt good, brain felt good, body felt good. And I knew that I had made it through the door. And that was the only thing I had to measure. But if you decide that, hey, I want to get granular about this, mm-hmm. I care about losing weight or building muscle or lifting more or jumping higher, then you have to measure that. And it's back to that benchmark that we're talking about. You have to be able to have something to measure off of to know whether or not you're making progress. Yeah. So whether it's in finance, and I love the gym analogies, one, because I love health and fitness, but it's also so relatable to so many other disciplines, and it's so relatable to business because you can use so many of the similar analogies.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to your point there, if it matters, it should be measured.
For sure.
And probably an unreasonably amount of time it needs to be measured in order to see the results. You're not, if you're trying to lose weight, you're not jumping on the scale once a week or once a month. It's every single day in the morning at the same time before you've eaten, because you need to track within the same confinements of the same calories, the same amount of sleep, the same amount of water that you've been drinking, so that you can balance that out to see if you're actually making those results.
Yeah. Taking out the variables, right? I've weighed myself probably every day for the last few years. What I like to take out of that though, is that I know things are going to fluctuate. I know one night, if I eat super late, the scale is going to look different if I'm weighing in at the same time the next morning, right? Thanksgiving. Oh, I ate late. And so the next morning, the scale is up a couple pounds, but then I also know that if I'm within a reasonable diet the following day, it's probably going to go back down to where my baseline is. Right. And like, I'm trying to lose a couple pounds right now, but I'm not looking for quick results. So I weigh myself every day, but it's just a number. It's just a stat. It goes into my phone. I'm looking for what I've accomplished over a longer period of time. I know that if over a 30-day period, my weight's up a little bit, I'm probably just eating a little bit too much food. If I want to dial that back down, I got to take a few calories out of the diet, right?
Yeah. But having like the intermediate tactic, and this is like back to as a beginner, you're going to learn to just, lift weight, you're going to eat better. You're going to start feeling good. You're going to start showing up. That's kind of that beginner stuff. But the intermediate or advanced stuff is once you understand what you're doing, then you get comfortable with that baseline. But not only that, you understand the nuances of the dials that you're able to turn, right? If you're like, I want to weigh less. Okay. I'm going to be drinking 4 liters of water a day. Excuse me. That's going to end by 6 p.m. I'm not going to eat any later than 6 p.m. I'm not going to put any salted seasoning on my food because I'm going to get bloated. But if I do, then at least I know consciously, because I've been through that, I've put in the repetitions, that I'm going to be able to turn that dial and know, all right, I'm going to be putting some salt in my body, or I'm going to be eating at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night because it's been a late night, or you're home, had some friends over, pizza's coming over, like whatever, that you're probably going to see those results, but you're okay with it because you understand the dials now that you can turn to see the results the other way. But it's just mentally, instead of being in that position of not knowing what's happening, it's understanding what's happening through time and repetition.
Yeah, it's funny. My favorite quote that Courtney, my girlfriend, always laughs at me for. I always say, she's like, why do you weigh yourself every day? I'm like, it's all learning. It's literally all learning. I just take the data and then I try to make better decisions from there. And like, the goals always change. The goal posts always change. I think it's fine, especially as an entrepreneur. I think we always want more. Like back to, me want to do 6 sales in my first year. And then now, that's, if I do 6 sales, I'm not, covering costs in my business these days, right? So the monthly costs are expensive as a realtor. And now I'm trying to do, somewhere between 30 to 40 transactions a year, helping clients move up or down. And it's just interesting that it's all learning, and it's okay for the goalpost to change. Like,
and not only is it okay, it's necessary.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to get a 6-pack and none of your friends have 6-packs, it's going to be pretty difficult for you to shred down and get a 6-pack because of your environment. And that's just kind of what you're used to. And you're like, 100%. Oh man, there's this North Star of having a shredded abs and a ripped beach body that I can just like look in the mirror and be proud of. And my wife will love and everything else, right? That's a pretty tough thing to do if you're in that scenario. But if you're around other people that are just like, the norm is to be shredded and go to the gym every day and track your macros, or in business, right? You're talking about selling homes, right? For you, it was a big reach to sell 6 homes a year. But if you're around people that are like, oh yeah, we sell 4 to 7 homes a year, this is kind of the normal thing, then that becomes normal. Yeah. And that benchmark has to change in order for you to grow, because you get comfortable in that zone. That's like your zone of genius for a little bit, but all of a sudden you start hanging out with people that have been doing what you want to do, and they're selling 20 homes a year or 80 homes a year. Yep. And all of a sudden you're like, all right, I just like, I'm hanging on a different team right now. This all makes sense. I forget, it was, you mentioned Gary Vee, and I think he mentioned that he was on a podcast. I think it was with Cody Sanchez, something like, I think it was on a podcast, and he was talking to her about, the idea of, it used to be make $100,000 a year. Yeah. Was sort of like when we were kids and parents was like, we make $100,000 a year. Like that's the North Star. But he's like, I got very scared when the idea was, now it becomes $1 million a year, because do you know how fucking hard it is to make $1 million a year? Like not in revenue in a business, but like in your own pocket as a salary, to make $1 million a year. It is very, very hard. And to his point, he had said, it was near impossible, but it seems very normal the group of people that he's hanging around with.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's making at least that, and they're doing really, really well. So it just becomes this normal thing. Sorry, I'll turn that up. Okay. But it's so abnormal, and it's a very, very difficult thing to do. But if you're in that group where all of a sudden this is like the normal thing, then anything less feels like you're not making progress. And so if you do want to, like, at that point, you can chill and decide if you're going to be happy or not. Yeah. But if you do want to continue getting better, which as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I think as a person in general, you want to get better at what you're doing, whether it's professionally, whether it's a parent, whether it's physically. I don't know a single person that's like, you know what, I'm doing too good in life.
Yeah, I'm happy here.
I'm happy here. This is it. I don't want a brighter future. I don't want a happier future. I don't want to make more money. I don't want to, happier clients. I don't want happier staff. Like, I don't know a single person like that. So it's in human nature.
Yeah,
we have that bred into our frontal lobe as like a survival mechanism, not just to survive, but also do better in the future.
And survival is so much different nowadays than it was, back in the day when we're hunter gatherers, right? Like now we are, we could be excelling in a whole bunch of different fields, but it's great to always want to do better for our clients, for ourselves, for our family. I think it's fantastic. One of the coolest things that I like about social media is that we can almost surround ourselves with people that we wouldn't get the opportunity to otherwise meet, and then open our minds that like, oh, like that goal, 100K, 250K, 500K, $1 million a year is achievable. And the people that are doing it are just normal people like you and I. Like, social media has really opened my eyes to see some other people doing things, and following some people online and curating who I follow has really helped me, and also like given me a baseline to work off of. I'm like, oh my goodness, if Alex Hormozy is waking up every morning at 4:30 and working for 6 hours straight, then going to the gym, then running, 2 other businesses, and then still making time for him and his wife, and they're hanging out and their relationship's great, that gives me hope and gives me something to work off of. Like, he was just a normal average person at some point, and the difference is he stayed dedicated and focused, and he's doing the things that he says he's going to do.
Yeah, social media is a double-edged sword, and I think that's what
big time
people get caught up in is this. They follow people, they get caught up in this. Oh yeah, making 30 grand a month is easy, 20 grand a month is easy, 100 grand a month is easy. Make your first $1 million in 40 days or whatever. But you have to be careful about what you let into your algorithm.
For sure.
And I love what Meta's done and they're introducing. It is the ability now to curate your algorithm. Before, it was decided for you what it was going to show based on who you were following, the type of content that you were engaging with. So it was suggesting the content for you. But I think they've released it now. I don't know. But I did just get an update, and what they're working on is the ability to go in and just say, you know what, you can go through and choose all these categories that interest you.
Oh, really?
And it will help, and it will help make suggestions based on that.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in AI, right, you're clicking on AI, business, finance, health and wellness, and it will only start feeding you that content. So whatever you're interested in, it's not going to start driving you as much as you now have the ability to drive the algorithm. Because, like, believe it or not, as much as, and I think everybody believes it, as much as your surroundings shape you, we spend so much time on our phone and so much time on social media that our algorithm does design who we are as human beings.
For sure.
And, if you're a mother and you're watching all these, different podcasts about being a mother, this is the perspective that you're going to gain, because you're going to get so much more content fed at you that this is your ecosystem that is now creating who you are as a human being. In the same way that, if you're watching specifically finance or fitness, then this is going to be what is going to start to shape you. And at some point, we're going to start seeing, like, a question on a resume is like, hey, I'd like to see your algorithm.
Yeah. You never know, man.
I can see
get to there.
I don't see that next, like the number one thing that people are looking on, resumes right now for are, the ability to use AI. So how proficient are you in AI?
For sure.
Right? It used to be how many words per minute can you type? How proficient are you in Microsoft Excel and Word or PowerPoint? Now it's how proficient are you at using AI, and specifically which platforms are you good at, right? So open up your prompts. Let me see the how you prompt engineer ChatGPT, right, for these roles. Like these are going to be things that are certainly going to be asked more and more in the future, and almost across any board right now. Like that's one of the number one things that people are looking for.
Wild.
And I really feel that at some point, as long as we as human beings, don't say that's illegal and you can't ask for that, then it'll be, hey, just upload your algorithm. Because I want to know your mentors that are shaping you. I want to know the screen time that you have, who's training you, because people, whether they're going to be going to school less and less, they're going to be doing, learning more and more online, spending more and more time on social media. So people want to know how, like they can give you, by looking at your algorithm, you can get a pretty good understanding of like where this person's mind is, what drives them, what are they interested in. And I would give somebody like the advice, if they really want to get ahead on a resume, if they're really looking for a job and set themselves apart, is like fire that up and say, hey, employer, this is my algorithm.
Yeah. It shows your hobbies, what you're naturally interested in. It discusses more about the person, not just the actual job that they're applying for. And you're definitely way more in tune than I am with this. Like you employ several people, whereas, it's just me. I have admin help, but I am the front of my business. I'm the back of my business. I'm kind of everything. So I'm not in the hiring, firing process, like pretty much whatsoever. So like you're kind of saying that, if you're making a hire these days, you're looking at, hey, what are you into? Like, who is influencing you on your social media, and where is that putting you in your headspace? Is it giving you motivation? Is it bringing you down? Another, on the opposite side of all the good of social media, like I can go and follow all these incredible people, but I find that there's also challenges in comparison, and comparison is 100% the thief of joy. If I'm just looking at Ryan Serhant and what he's done in his real estate career and comparing it to me, I'm just going to go back to sleep all day, because I can't even come close to what that guy's accomplished. And I absolutely love him. But I think there's struggles at times in entrepreneurship where, we have battles, we have these inner demons, and we're comparing ourselves like, oh, so-and-so, they sold 3 homes in the last week. Like I haven't done a deal in 10 days, in a month, whatever it is. Right. So I think it's really interesting to see the mindset of people. How do you get through those challenges? How do you not compare yourself? And like, did you ever experience that when you were first getting into opening up your own company here with New Visions? Were you comparing to other long held construction companies in our community? Like, what was that like for you?
Still do, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the comparison thing, I look at it as not necessarily a comparison, but it's hard not to call it a comparison, because it is, but I try not to use that language, but to some degree, like you look at Serhant, and I look at other builders that are down in the States and they're doing this. They're not necessarily direct competition, but I'm seeing what they're doing, and it's very cool to see that it can be done. I know, one of the guys, he's has one of the largest development companies and building companies in Eastern Canada. And he has locations in 4 different cities, and it's a big operation, and it's awesome. And I was talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I'm breaking ground on this new condo building. It's going to be 200 units. And I'm selling, these townhouses that we just built on spec. And I'm looking it up. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like, this has got to be a huge amount of money in. And I look at it, and it was very different, because these brand new townhouses that he was selling were like $420,000.
Okay. Yeah.
Like brand new. And it was just like, where they are and what they're doing, land is cheap. And it's just like, it's just not our market. It's very cool to see what they are doing, but to replicate that in the market that I happen to be geographically tied to at the moment is very, very difficult
for sure.
To do.
Like,
so
for reference, 1 bed, 1 bath condos around here there's a couple that are available for $400K, but that's really it. And it's on Tsawwassen's First Nation, so it's a 99-year lease. Now it's a lease that's properly registered to land titles, which is fantastic. But brand new construction for townhomes, we're looking at $900K plus, like easily.
Yeah. So
I'm just gonna check on this one camera real quick.
Yeah.
We had to go through some technical difficulty here. Podcast number 1. It's all learning.
There we go. Well, I think we're back on.
We're back.
That's all right. This is what I mean from the very beginning, though. Like, you're gonna find these technical issues, but you gotta put in the checklist. But you have to understand what needs to be on the checklist in order for that to make it happen. Until you mess some stuff up, or until things go a little sideways, it's like, I didn't even know that I should have that on the checklist for next time.
Absolutely. Like, this was literally a power issue. That's hilarious. It just, I think I have way too many things plugged in down there, and there's not enough juice going into the camera. So I think that's why we had that little hiccup there, but we're all good. All gravy. We're
good. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. If it beeps at you, we'll pick things back up and make it happen.
Yeah, no, we're all good.
Awesome. Yeah. So the comparison thing, it's kind of funny because I don't think you ever stop comparing. And people that say that they don't compare themselves to other people, I think at some level are probably lying to themselves a bit.
Yeah.
Because I think if you are, if you're trying to get better at anything, then you're looking to people in the future. And maybe you're not using the term comparison, but you're using the, you're looking at that as a new benchmark, right? Back to that idea of they are past this point. It's the same way when I started jiu-jitsu and I was new. I look at these guys that are black belts, and it's like, I want to be this good. And I wasn't like I was comparing it, but knowing like this is possible. This is the, where I want to go. I have a North Star. I have something I can track, and I have people that I can also follow, call on, that can help give me guidance to find that direction, learn from.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if there's it depends on who you're comparing yourself to, or who you're looking at, who you consider your competition. And when I was first starting the business, 2 guys, I co-founded the company with a good friend of mine. And one of the things I did is I looked up to other businesses around here. It was some local builders that I knew of. I didn't know much about them. I didn't know much about the organization, but I had seen them around. And to me, I was like, oh, these guys are kind of who I want to be.
Yeah.
And I called them all up. And I went out and sat down, had lunch. Hey, I'm just hoping can learn from you. I'm just kind of starting here. They didn't view me as competition.
Yeah.
I viewed them as somewhere that, I aspired to have companies similar to theirs.
They were up that ladder. You saw them as inspiration. You wanted to gain some knowledge off them. And that's really cool to hear that they were, willing to take that time to sit down with you and spit some knowledge and help you out.
Yeah. And most people are, and I don't look at them as competition anymore, because I don't want this to sound arrogant, but I believe we run a bigger, better business than they do.
There you go.
And we're looking to different clients. And I have I don't pay any attention to that anymore, but I do pay attention to the businesses that are doing things that I have not yet done,
for sure, that
I want to do in the best possible way. And I have no problem picking up the phone and calling people and just saying, hey, this is really impressive. How did you do this? How did you work through this? And one thing that people, I think, really underestimate is the power of having some sort of mentor, some sort of coach.
Yes.
Whether it's a coach that you're paying for, or just a mentor that's willing to meet you for coffee or pick up the phone and listen. But if they can provide you advice because they've done the thing that you are trying to do in a way that you are trying to do it, they've probably come up against similar roadblocks. And for the most part, people are super happy to help if you're not trying to sell them something.
Yeah.
And so if I have anything that I'm trying to come up with, or a struggle, I was on a call earlier today with this woman who's built this beautiful AI company, and I'm trying to build a few different AI things right now for our business, and it's really not my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But I called her and said, hey, do you mind? I don't know if I'm going to pay you anything. I love what you're doing. You really, really understand this. This stuff is kind of new to me. Like I've never built AI agents before. I have this vision for what I'm trying to create. I've gotten it this far. I've been following you for a while. Would you mind having a conversation with me? I would just love to pick your brain a little bit. There's certainly people that are going to say, no, get out of here. I don't have time for that. But most people, I would say like 90% of people are probably going to say, sure, I'll give you 15 minutes. Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah. And I did. And it was awesome. And we chatted for 45 minutes and she loved what I was doing. And now we have another meeting for tomorrow because she's that interested in what I'm building right now. And so people get nervous about picking up the phone and having this conversation. I think mostly because people are nervous that they're going to be viewed about where they are right now. Yeah. And because they've been wearing this mask or portraying that they're bigger than they are. And that's where that gets really scary. Yeah. Is when you're really pretending that you're something that you're not, or you're in a place that you're not, and you limit yourself at that point, because even if other people don't see that in you, you see that in yourself, and that can be detrimental if you're not careful, because it's that ego is going to stop you from reaching out and having conversations and asking for help, and asking for help is the only thing that's going to help you move forward in the direction that you want.
Yeah, like that's one of the things that I want to touch on today is, you're part of a few coaching programs. You have some really good mentors, and when I look up to anybody and I'm trying to learn something, I'm looking to learn from somebody that's already been in my position, whether it's personal life, fitness, professional, mindset, anything. Like I want to learn from somebody that's been in a very similar situation to me and that has that tactical experience with that, and that I can truly gain something from. I've been doing real estate for 14 years now, and I'm having a lot of young agents reach out to me and ask for advice and tips on what to do. And I love it. If they come from a place like, Blake, like it's tough out there right now. Like I haven't done a deal in 6 months. What do you think I can do? And like, if they come to me like in that humble way, no ego, just laying it all out for me and being vulnerable like that, like I want to help them so bad. Mm-hmm. And like, I will check in with them. Like if they reach out to me, we have a couple conversations, I'm going to continue to reach out to them, even though they're not asking that up from me, because they're just being a genuine human and asking for a little bit of help. And I think that's what, like, life is really, I'm learning a lot in the last few years of my life, and everything comes back to helping other people. That's all we're ever doing. And then we're problem solving, and the people that get paid the most and are the most successful with business are the ones that are focused on coming up with solutions to problems. And if you can solve complicated problems, you're finding the solution, you're going to grow your business, you're going to grow your own personal life, you're going to be a better person when you're doing that. And just even having the mentality of problem solving versus everything's a problem that can't be solved, it's going to change your life.
It doesn't even need to be complicated problems.
I'm just going to hit one button here.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, it doesn't even need to be complicated problems that you're solving. They can be simple problems that you find a place in the market that need to be solved that people that have money are going to pay for. Mm-hmm. And that's like often a beautiful thing as well. But sorry, where were you? You had a question there.
I mean, I got a lot of questions.
A lot of questions.
Yeah. Oh, it's about coaching. So yeah,
about coaching. So yeah, to your point, like the mentors, like these kids are going to come to you, and they are where you were at some point. And so many of us, we didn't have a lot of guidance, right? There's a lot of people that didn't have guidance. Like my parents certainly are, like they're not very, my mom, I shouldn't say both my parents are an entrepreneur. My mom actually just recently bought a store about 5 years ago, and it's kind of her retirement plan, and she's doing great, and I'm super proud of her, and it's super fun to geek out on it.
Awesome.
But my parents, like, traditionally are not entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So this idea of running your own business was very, very different because there wasn't anybody in my family that could directly help me or give me advice from experience. They could give me theory and opinions based on how they knew me and understood me, and that's going to get you only so far. But it really required people to come into my life, or me to get into people's lives that knew what they were doing, so that because they've painted that path. And like, the best way to find your way to the top of the mountain is to talk to people that are on their way back down. Yeah. And they're going to be able to point you there. And as long as they're they're happy to chat, and they're thirsty, and they got their, they're hydrated, and they're ready to go, like, they will open up to you. And coaching and mentorship has been a huge part of my life for well over a decade. And wow. Yeah. So it's, anybody that thinks that they can, grind through it on their own is pretty wild. And honestly, there's a lot of coaches out there that don't have coaches. And I think that that's kind of weird. I'm like, you as a coach, who is your coach? Yeah. My coach has coaches. Yeah. And same as, like, I look at the best business owners as having, like, it would be weird if you showed up to the Olympics and you had Olympic athletes there and there was no coach. Absolutely. It would be weird if somebody stepped into the UFC ring and they didn't have somebody in their corner that was watching out for them, telling them when to drink, sit down, when to fade, when to, like, go in for the double leg takedown, defense, like, whatever that is. It would be weird if you didn't have that. And as a business owner, I make it, I think it's required to seek out the best coaches, the way that the athletes are seeking out the best teams to play on, and the best coaches to be mentored under as well. Like, I love that, man. I really love that analogy. Like, think about the first sport you ever played. You're not just going out into a soccer field, baseball field, onto a basketball court with no guidance. You have coaches and support systems, and you're learning from those people. I think a lot of entrepreneurs need that help, and entrepreneurship can be a very lonely place to be in if you don't have any guidance or experience, or you're in that group of other people that have, taken that leap of faith to start their own business. 100%. And the coaching, the mentorship is super, super powerful. And so where did you start with that? Like, a business coach back in the day? So how did you get in? Yeah. So my first coach, I was, had always started reading books. When I got into this idea, it was like early after high school. I had started in construction. I had started learning about money. I had read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that was like what kicked me off, and wanted to learn about money and wanted to learn about savings and finance, and then got into trading, and then looking at real estate investment. And that was where, just through books, started learning. Because when at that point, there weren't really podcasts that we were listening to. Nope. At that stage. There wasn't a lot of, like, videos on YouTube. Facebook was barely around, and it certainly isn't used today like it was. Instagram wasn't here. Like, we didn't have this feed of content that was coming in. So it was books or people, for sure, really, or conferences. And so I would go to these conferences, and I went to it was a 3-day conference just on business general. It didn't have anything to do with construction or trades or anything, or real estate. It was just business in general. And I had signed up for it. And I met a guy there, and I had hit it off with him, and he was helping facilitate. He wasn't the owner of the company, but he was helping facilitate it. And then I always kept in touch with him, and I found out that at one point that he was leaving. I saw online through Facebook that he was leaving, and I shot him a message and said, "Hey man, like, what's going on? What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm going out of town for a few weeks, but when I get back, I'm going to call you, make sure you answer your phone." And I did. He called me back, and he said, "Hey," he gave me the whole rundown. Turns out, like, the company that he was with, they had fired him for some, there was some shady stuff going on, and he was just an awesome person. And he ended up getting caught up in some stuff that, just some shrapnel from the business there. And there was some shady stuff on their side. And so he ended up getting fired. And it was like a kind of an ugly thing for him, because it caught him totally off guard. Right. And so it should have. Called me and he said, "Hey, I want to, I think I can coach you. I want you to come out to my house and I'll show you, like, I can help you with your business. And so I was like, cool, man. I did. Went out to his place. He opened his computer and he said, hey, this is what I've been able to do in the past. This is like what I think you guys should be focusing on. This is where I can help you. We made breakfast. My business partner was there to cook breakfast. And then I just, like, on the drive home, I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. You want $2,500? Do a deep dive into the business. That was a lot of money for me at that time. I'm like, we're spending do you know what we could get for $2,500?
Yeah.
But to fork that over for somebody that is going to, quote unquote, teach you something was a lot of money. But paid that, no problem. And then he met us. We set up this time to do a deep dive into our business. He brought in another gentleman to that meeting. It was like a small hotel conference room. And we had, he'd introduced me to a friend of his and brought him in. His friend was building the operations manual for Shack Shine, which was sold to Brian Scudamore from 1-800-GOT-JUNK at that time. And we didn't even have a business together, but we ended up sitting through this boardroom doing a big deep dive. And at that point I was like, whoa, we have some people that know what they're doing, that can tell that we have no idea what we're doing, and they have a solution for it, and they're giving us all the answers.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Yeah. So I will pay money to move faster, to make more money any day of the week. And that was that first introduction really into the power of coaching.
For sure.
And that in that first year that we started working with them, I think we doubled revenue. And then our second year, we ended up doubling revenue again.
That's wild. I think a lot of people are scared to get into coaching for the entrance fee. But, like, think about it. You are paying for somebody's experience that they've had in, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And if they are giving you solutions to problems that you don't even know that are out there, like, it is invaluable. The best money that I've ever spent in my business is investing in myself and investing in trying to learn from other people in the same industry, or just even around mindset too, like having the belief that you can run a profitable, successful business. But yeah, I think there's too many people that, there's a lot of coaching out there for real estate. It's not cheap. You're talking about, I think Tom Ferry, one of the biggest real estate coaches in the world, is $2,000 American a month. And I think you get one call every 2 weeks for half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But those calls are focused, and you're talking to people that have either run huge real estate teams in the past or just have all the systems that you didn't even know that you need. And they will help you get to the places that you want to go in business. And even above that, it makes you think about your investment. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm spending $2,000 a month on this. Like, this is crazy. I better get my act together and make sure I'm doing every single thing that this person's going to tell me. And I better be right there in the moment, every single phone call I have with them.
The transformation happens at the transaction.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to realize.
Ooh,
right? As soon as you put down money, if you do not, and it stems from confidence though, but if you don't have the confidence in yourself, and this is why I love the gym, because the gym helps build confidence. It's like one of the fastest ways to discipline.
100%.
And you build confidence by keeping the promises that you make to yourself in private. And if you have the ability to do that, and you know that you can rely on yourself, then I'm going to spend $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, whatever. But I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that I'm getting as much value to that and running as fast as I can to make an ROI on my money. And you just get into this habit of knowing, like, you're going to do that. If you're paying a huge amount of money to meet with a coach, you've put up that money, you're not going to show up unprepared.
No.
And you're not going to show up unfocused, and you're not going to show up with your phone on and checking your emails and your DMs and dealing with that. Like, you are going to have that highly focused time. You're going to come prepared, but it's also going to build that muscle that's going to help you develop the ability to ask better questions, the ability to take better principles and implement them into your business. But if you are constantly searching for free information, you're going to find a lot of it. And you're going to find some great information. There's no doubt about it. But I love what specifically Dan Martell has taught me is that information is free and information should be free. Implementation you pay for.
Yeah.
Put out all that information, as much information as you can, because chances are it's the information that's out there isn't new. Chances are the information that you're putting out, somebody else has already put out, but you're putting your little isms on it in a way that is going to connect with people better. It's going to, you're going to meet people where they are, like maybe they connect with your tonality versus somebody else's. So you're in turn helping people by putting out content as long as that's valuable. But if you are going to implement things, like that's where people have the trouble. And that's where coaches really help. Yeah. Because chances are, like you mentioned real estate coaching, any of the information that you're looking for, ChatGPT is probably going to spit it out in a format that's going to work really, really well in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Or sure. YouTube or anything. But to sit there and take yourself seriously, and like you said, you're investing in yourself, you're going to put down that money. And as long as you have that self-discipline and confidence that you're going to do something with it, spend that money all day long.
It's wild that we need to do that though. We literally need a monetary investment to make sure that we're taking care of the things that we need to do.
I pay for a fitness coach.
Yeah.
Right. And really and I pay him a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I don't need him to force me to get up and get to the gym. I go to the gym anyways. Yeah. I don't need him to really build me a meal plan, because I can go on ChatGPT or Claude and build out a full plan and say, hey, this is, what I'm planning on running an Ironman. This is my, my VO2 max. And this is the food that I'm eating. And this is where I'm at. This is how fast I can ride. This is the distance I've only run. Build me this plan to get there. In fact, I'll tell you another story afterwards. But my point is for me, there's this accountability in community, because it's a community of people that are also paying money, that are also betting on themselves, that are also doing the same thing. And if you're not posting your pictures, your half naked pictures of yourself to the group of other people that are also every week posting half naked pictures of themselves, showing their progress and cheering each other on, you're going to feel like you're falling behind. Yeah. And I think that that's a great, that's a great form of accountability. And you don't have to pay for accountability, but a lot of times that is the best way to do that.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges for anybody with no matter what you're looking to do in life. You need accountability, and it's so easy to, sit back and negotiate with yourself, right? Like this morning I set my alarm for nice and early. I went to bed super late, putting out some more YouTube content, and I hear the alarm, I hit the snooze, it comes back on a minute later, and then I start negotiating with myself. I'm like, oh, you need some more rest. You deserve some more rest. I need to do this. I'm like, no, I have to go hit this workout at the gym. It's a part of my program. I need to go do this. Stop negotiating with yourself. Go take care of business. But it's one of the things that you need to have accountability around you and get in those other groups of like-minded individuals that are trying to better themselves. And then you're going to see the results that you want to see in whatever aspect of life that means to you.
Well, it's also being able to speak the same language, because if you're with a group of people and you're trying to better yourself, and this is what you're doing, like the conversation you're having of, a lot of friend groups are going to be like, I don't understand why you were up so early. I don't understand why you're up so late putting YouTube videos out. They just can't click with that because they're not on that same wavelength. But if you're in a community of people that are like, man, I get it. Like, this is what I did. This is how I batch my YouTube videos. This is you should, be sleeping this much, but don't worry. I negotiate with myself every day, but I get my ass out of bed, or have an accountability partner that's waiting at the gym. That's going to be, meeting you there to spot you, just having these guardrails in place to make sure that you're staying on track is going to be different for everybody, but they're going to be super important.
They are. And that's one of the biggest reasons I actually post that I'm at the gym every day. That's literally just me being accountable for myself. I'm not doing it for anybody else. And it's just, I know that I need to work out, 5 days a week, 6 days a week for my physical health, for my mental health. And me posting that story at the gym every morning keeps me accountable. And it's cool how that you can just lead by natural example. I've had probably a dozen people in the last 2 years reach out to me at some point or another, being like, Blake, I see you consistently at the gym. I didn't say anything at the start because I didn't know if I would keep with this, but you've inspired me, and I've been working out 5 days a week for the last year and a half. And like, that hit so hard, man. And like, that's so cool to see that, you know, I've gained all this inspiration from other people online and seeing where they're at in life and how they've done things. And then to know that we can give back in like just a random way that actually helps us, and then it's helping other people. Like, it's a really special feeling.
What you put out is what you're going to receive, man. So if you're putting out good content that's going to inspire people, like you'll receive whatever you're meant to receive. And as long as it's full-hearted and with good intentions, that's a way to do it. And social media is such a great way to keep accountable, to your goals and announcing it. And that's the scary part. That's why so many people don't post that type of content.
Yeah.
Is because they're gonna put up, hey, this is my goal, and then they drop off, and because they can't stay consistent, and then they feel like everybody's watching them.
Yeah.
Even though the internet moves so fucking fast, and nobody really cares.
And
but
everybody has so much to think about in their own life that they're not really thinking about you. We can just get in our own head sometimes, right? Like,
yeah, 100%. And that's what the thing that, you know, is mentioned to me about marketing that I love. It's like, you're going to get sick and tired of your marketing before your target market ever will.
Yeah.
And you're going to run these ads. You're going to put your face out there. You're going to do whatever. And you're like, I can't say that again. I already said that. I can't put a picture there of this because I put too many pictures of this up already. And they're like, the market isn't going to see it. And chances, like, we have an office space with our office sign on it on like the busiest street in our town. I talk to people all the time, and they're like, "Oh, are you based in Tsawwassen?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, we're right here." "Oh, do you have an office?" "Yeah, right." Or like, tell them where it is. Like, "Oh, I drive by that like 4 times a day."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, clearly, like people are just so caught up in their own stuff that they don't care about. I love that the fact that they are, because it gives you some freedom and some liberation to speak your own thoughts and kind of find your own voice and do stuff like post at the gym that might help somebody stay inspired. It might help you stay accountable. But for most people, they're just not comfortable with that yet. And that's not a big problem. It's not for everybody. I get it, but it's not that scary. It's the same thing. You know, I've been posting about this plan over the next 90 days, trying to get down to 9% body fat. And it's like day 40 of what I call 90 to 9. And I'm posting that really for accountability, because nobody gives a shit if I make it or not. Like, there's people that are cheering me on, and that's cool and that's great, but I know that if I don't make that, I'm gonna be letting myself down.
Mm-hmm.
Or people that start 75 hard and they're like they're posting that they're doing this. Most people just can't get past the fact, like, they don't want to post that because they've already written themselves off from ever achieving that. So they know they're not going to engage in this because they know that they come into it with this expectation that they're not going to make it all the way through. And if you have that expectation from the very beginning, chances are you're probably not going to make it.
Yeah. I think too many people, including myself at times too, we're all afraid of being judged or failing. And I think that's the biggest reason why people don't start or stay with whatever they're trying to accomplish. Like, Hormozy talks about this all the time. He's like, your life could be 100 years. And then the day you're dead, in 2 years, nobody's going to talk about you again. So take that risk. Like, go and do the thing that you're passionate about. Speak what you really feel about and go for it. Like, there's no point in waiting. Life is so short. We need to go after the things that we want to do. Like, this is a passion project for me. Like, I just want to sit down and talk to people like you and learn more about what get you started, what keeps you going, what your mentality is. And if I ever make any money off this, great. If I make $0 off this, I'm fine with that too. It's giving me an opportunity to have conversations with people that I want to discuss topics with. And that fills my bucket because we don't have an opportunity in this day and age to not be distracted by 30 other things happening all at once. To put our phone away for an hour, 2 hours and just chop it up with you, man. Like, this is everything to me. I love this.
And it's exactly why I love podcasts as well. It's better than going out for coffee in a restaurant where both of you are like kind of checking your emails, kind of taking phone calls when you need to. Like you're able to sit down with somebody that you want to talk to. It's uninterrupted. And that's an art form in its own that's been lost. The art form of interaction and communication without distraction is something that is really lost on the world. And especially like we got Meta glasses now. Pretty soon it's like we're gonna have glasses and like, yeah, I'm focused on you, bro, but you're like you're swiping left and right on your glasses.
You're watching 3 NBA games, you're watching baseball highlights. You can be somewhere else completely, man. Yeah,
it's gonna be tough, but that was one thing that that coaches and community are really helpful for, and social media is especially helpful for, is being able to keep you accountable. But you can go on ChatGPT. Like I was asked by a coach of mine. He said, do you have a plan in your business to hit $100 million in revenue?
Wow.
And I said, I don't. I have a plan to hit 30.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't come back until you've built out a plan for $100 million.
Said those are rookie numbers. You need to pump those up.
That's it. And I was like, okay, I get that. I will do that. Same coach that's, encouraged and just has said you have permission to dream as big as you want to dream, and challenged a group of us to write down and just say, like, write down one thing that if it were to come true, it would be without a doubt proof that God was real. And I was like, I'm going to interview Michael Jordan on a rocket ship. It was just like the wildest thing, like have a podcast of that. And then I started thinking, I was like, you know what? It doesn't seem that far off. Like really podcasting is becoming through. All I got to do is become really good at podcasting. Michael Jordan has got to still be alive for a while. But if I procured money to go up to space, because that's becoming more and more of a common thing. Yeah. And I wrote him up, and I happened to like have some, notoriety and exposure on social media already. And I was to approach Michael Jordan and say, hey, do you want to be the first person to ever do a podcast in fucking space? Maybe there's a chance.
And no matter what,
maybe there's a chance.
That practice of coming up with those thoughts opens your mind, right? Where a lot of us have struggles with thinking about these opportunities could come our way. And that's just a good practice and example of, I think our goals or what we want to accomplish is actually within reach, and we need to get out of our own way sometimes. That's the biggest struggle I see with realtors these days. They believe in themselves for a short period of time, and then they close off. And then they get a couple deals, and then they think they're on top of the world, and then they close off. And then their self-belief and having an open mind to think that great things are going to come their way if they just stay consistent start to fade.
I went through an exercise with this $100 million vision, right? Start there. Work your way backwards.
Yeah.
I didn't have a vision for $100 million.
Yeah.
So what do? I go to ChatGPT.
Yep. And
I say, okay, well, here's my $30 million plan, because I'd already built that out, and it was like, here's the 5-year vision of, what we want to do, where we want to go, and like based on this, pump that information, fed it into ChatGPT, and said somewhere along this lines, I'm looking to build out, $100 million. What does that look like? Oh, and then I have my personal goals that I want to achieve over the next 12 months. Add that in there. All right. And then where I see myself in 3 years and 5 years doing that. It's like kind of elevating. You put that information in there too. And you hit send, and it comes up with a number of ways that you could get to $100 million. And it looks very, very different from what you're doing right now. But
sure,
that's the easy part. What was more eye-opening is what I asked it afterwards. I asked, who do I need to become to be this person that is going to ensure that I hit these goals and hit $100 million in revenue, as well as all these personal goals. And that was scary.
Yeah.
Because that's that everyday, what you have to do, what you have to focus on. And then you're like, okay, break me down this like daily habits. What do I need to be doing every single day to make that happen? And that was like, all right, this is going to be different. Like, this is going to be a very difficult conversation with my wife.
Yeah.
This means like giving up certainly time with my kids in a lot of ways in this plan. And then you have to question, am I willing to sacrifice these things that are important to me in my life now in order to, meet these goals in the future? And that's where you start kind of negotiating with yourself as well. It's not this, am I getting out of bed in the morning? It's like, am I negotiating with my future self for now? And you have to start looking deeper. And the thing that ChatGPT can't come up with. Like, they can come up with a game plan, but they can't come up with taste, and they can't come up with like true values and like the things that really pull on your heartstrings.
Yeah, that are really important to you, like deep down inside, for sure.
It can give you the principles and the guidelines, but you have to decide whether, is giving up the time with your kids to go, swimming every day for 10 kilometers or whatever it is, more important, or is it important that they feel happy in their bed and you're cuddling with them in the mornings and they wake up and you're there and you're able to get them off to school and you're home in the evenings. Yeah. Are these the types of things that matter? And that's where you start negotiating. And it was this exercise, a long time ago, but it was really just prioritizing the things that you value. And I know, like right now with kids, man, especially kids in business, like outside of that, have had to scale back on so many hobbies. And I think every parent will probably tell you the same. Yeah. But it's if I'm not with my kids, then I either want to be exercising or working on the business. Mm-hmm. And there's some time in there for friends and stuff as well. But outside of that, it's like, it's very few hobbies. It's very rare that I get to get out and do anything else. And it's just stripping away those things that aren't priorities.
And there's seasons for everything too, right? Like, there's times where you get to spend way more time with family and friends. And then there's other times where you just need to be in the trenches with business. And then it's a bit of a juggling act to try to, keep all of those things and making you feel complete and whole inside and filling your bucket and mixing them all together. But, I think there's something that we have to do. We have to make some sacrifices in order to get to where we want to be. Like for me, when I was at my old job before real estate, I played sports every single night. I was on 3 baseball teams, a basketball team, playing volleyball, coaching basketball. And real estate is not a 9-to-5. It is an evenings and weekend heavy thing. So I literally gave up all my sports, and now I'm at a point in my career where I can start climbing back into that, getting back into a little bit of golf and everything. But like, it's okay. That was a season. I grinded, I hustled, I worked every single day. I worked long hours for a very long time, and I'm still going to be there for my clients when they need them and work those important times for them. But I'm finding where I'm at in my life is that I do need to do those other things to then fill my bucket back up, which only helps elevate the rest of my life. One thing I really wanted to go back on is the gym and how it can actually help the rest of your life in a day-to-day basis. You go to the gym and it gives you the confidence that A, you showed up for yourself, and B, you can go and try to do something and do that hard thing that you thought that, maybe this isn't even a possibility. You're starting a squat. You start with a bar. It's 45 pounds. And then in a month later, you're adding 5 pounds on, and you're making this progress. And I love the gym because it's a place where everybody goes and we're all just trying to get better. We're all there just trying to better ourselves. And I literally go to the gym because I know the best version of myself comes after I go and do something hard, because then I believe in myself to tackle the rest of my day, whatever comes my way, whatever problems are there, I'm going to find solutions for.
100%, man. I couldn't agree more. It's single-handedly, like if you were to pull out a Swiss Army knife of tactics that you could use to start bettering yourself, the gym would be like the first tactic that I would pull out, right?
Yeah, physical
fitness. That's a multi-tool, but that's the thing that's going to get you the best results that you're going to use the most often. If you're in a good mood, you're gonna see results. If you're in a bad mood, you're gonna see results and become in a good mood. Like you're never gonna walk out of the gym usually in a in a worse mood than when you walk in.
No, for sure.
It keeps you exceptionally focused, but like physically, mentally, it does so much, right? You exhaust the body, tame the mind.
Yeah. A lot of Dan Martell talk, and that's something I kind of wanted to hit on. So are you in like a full coaching program with him? Okay, so how has that been and how long have you been involved with that for? I know Dan Martell he's amazing. His book, Buy Back Your Time, I've read it twice. I'm on my third go. He's somebody that lives locally, which I find is kind of inspiring too, because he just kind of seems like a normal guy, lives in Kelowna. He's giving back to the community. He's helping a lot of kids. Like, how can you not love the guy? And he's putting out so much content. I know you've got to meet some of his team at a couple events too, and they all seem like really awesome people. So how has that been?
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have nothing but incredible things to say. It's like when it comes to coaches, I've had great coaches. I've had not so great coaches, and that's sort of with repetition, right? When we're talking about benchmarks, is you don't know if you hire on your first coach, and you start seeing results, you're going to think that they're the best coach in the world. But once you stop seeing results and you plateau, then it's time to find a new coach or a different coach. Yeah. And if you're not seeing results, then you have to ask yourself first, is this a people problem or is it a process problem? And it's like, if you hire a fitness trainer and you're not gaining muscle or not losing weight, and the first question I ask, all right, well, you're following the meal plan and the exercise plan. You're like, well, kind of, but like I'm making all these substitutions and I'm not getting my cardio in because I just don't have. It's like, okay, well, let's start with sticking to the plan first.
Yeah.
And then you can analyze like whether or not that coach is either the problem or if it's you. But as you work your way through different coaches, you're going to find out, and depending on where you are in life, the season that you're in life, there's going to be different coaches for different areas. And Dan is he's an incredible coach, incredible mindset. And the thing about him is he also continues to invest money into himself.
Yeah, he's always growing.
Yeah, he's been coached by Patrick Bet-David on the media side, which he's openly talked about. With Richard Branson, like he spent time with Richard Branson, which is very cool. And
it's very cool listening to how that went and how much he took away from meeting with him, even the first time that they ever met.
Yeah. And so you want to invest into people that are continuing to invest in people, because if you're a coach and you're telling people to invest in themselves and you yourself aren't doing anything, then that's hypocritical. Yeah. And you don't want a coach that's hypocritical, because then you're going to become hypocritical by default because you're being coached to do that.
Yeah, you never want to be told to do something by somebody else that isn't leading by example.
Yeah.
It's like go to the gym 5 times a week, but if that person is not doing that anymore, you're like, well, why do I want to take advice from them? They're not doing this thing. And if they're not being coached and trying to better themselves, no matter what stage of life they're at, then why do you want to take advice from them, right?
Yeah, one thing I can say about Dan is he does an incredible job of pulling information out of you that, like some people have that. They know they understand the questions to ask, and he knows the questions to ask to get the most of you, to get to the root problem very, very quickly. Yeah. He'll be able to sit down with you and you'll ask him a question and he'll know that's not the real question. And he'll say, okay, well, he'll ask you 2 questions. And by the end of those 2 questions, you'll come out with the real question that you need answered, not this bullshit facade of an answer that you think you need answered. Yeah. And he has that ability. And there's very few people in this world, I think, that really do have that ability. And that's probably the thing that impresses me the most.
Yeah. And it's not like he's had an easy go. Like if you listen to his entire story of his childhood to, his other businesses before where he's at, like, I really like learning from people that have had failures and struggles. I don't want to listen to some trust fund kid that started a business at the right time and he's not really hands-on and hasn't gone through struggles. I want to listen to somebody who's had real life problems and they've gotten out of that and then flourished from there. Like, I'm sure as a father, you probably look up to Dan and what he's doing with his kids and how he's trying to teach them lessons and set them up for success in the future too.
As soon as he introduced this idea of world schooling, which he's doing right now, he's traveling around the world for 9 months, taking his kids out of school. They're working with I think it's Alpha School, which is, it's a non-traditional way, but it's a program, and they have their preferences, but they learn through the preferences. So it's like, if you really like skateboarding and this is how you learn through it, then it's like, it's tailoring content and like understanding math and equations around certain preferences and how you learn. So it's like
something that you're actually interested in, right? Because I think you can make any topic applicable to something that you're interested in life. And I think that's the biggest problem in school is kids aren't going to be interested in everything. And if you don't have the right teacher, it's going to be a problem to actually absorb the information.
That was why I thought I was terrible at math in high school. I was falling asleep in class. I didn't get it. I graduated barely with grade 10 basic math, and that was it. It wasn't until I went to trade school after high school where I was like, I kind of like math. And then as soon as I started liking it, I got good at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it was like, at that point, it wasn't applicable. Nobody painted me a picture of like how I'm going to use this in the real world. It was just numbers and something that I had to do, but I didn't really have a reason for it. But once it becomes applicable and you know how you're going to use it, in the same way that like most people don't use social media because in the right way, because they don't have an end game. They don't understand why they're using that tool.
There's no intention to the usage.
There's no intention. Whereas it's like, if you're using it, you're this is the content that you're putting out. You want to reach these people. You want to put it out because you want to build the connections. You want to, everything that you want and desire is on the other side of reach and reputation. Yeah. And so you want to continue growing your reach. You want to continue growing your reputation, and you want people, because you care about people, to learn from you. And if there's anything, if you're like me, if there's anything that you've learned along the way, it's your obligation to share that, because you never know if there's one person that's going to learn from that, whose life it might change, and they might end up stepping into the gym. Or it might be one post that you make on the beach in the morning when you're walking your dog about a thought that you might be going through that might connect with somebody else, and that might just be on their heart.
Yeah, for sure.
Or posting a quote from a book that you're reading, because you never know who that's going to connect with, and that's powerful.
That's a beautiful thing about social media. You never know who you're going to reach, and you never know how it can actually help somebody, further themselves or get them out of a tough time.
But you do have to be disciplined, because that was like one thing that I love. You brought up Gary Vee, and he said, he's like, how do I stop using social media and get distracted by it and just use it for business? And he's like, how about fucking discipline? Like, why do we have to overcomplicate it? What, do you want to put an app in place that's going to like stop you from like, just, it's not that complicated. It's called discipline. Yeah. If you're using it for business, pick it up, use it for business, put it down. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't look at it. Don't scroll. Put it away. It's not for spending time on and scrolling through and like losing focus. It is for doing business. Yeah. If you want to use it to grow your business, then use it to grow your business. And that's it. Yeah. Just have the discipline to put it away. Yeah. Cut down that screen time. Like, it doesn't need to be that complicated.
It doesn't need to be that complicated. I think we overcomplicate so many things. It's just like, a realtor reached out to me a few weeks ago. He's like, how do I get more business? I'm like, go do 4 open houses every single week for other realtors in your brokerage, and you will get business. And like, I followed that game plan for years, and it put me in front of thousands of people's faces and showed them who I was as a person and how I presented properties, and then my knowledge locally and hyper locally, whether it's a townhome, condo, or house. And it got the results. Like, stop overcomplicating stuff. We need to choose what we want to do and just go after it. So if you're using social media to grow your business, go on there, post, and then get off. Or like, what I like to do is I like to engage with my followers, right? So like, I will see, I've unfollowed so many people in my day. Like, everybody on my Instagram is somebody that I genuinely like to see what's going on in their life. And so I'll comment, I'll message them, we'll have conversations. But I'll make my post, and if I'm not going to engage with other people, I'm out of there. I'm not going to be doom scrolling for a half an hour, because you can just get sucked into a vortex of eye appealing information that's just going to give you dopamine hit after dopamine hit, and you can just keep going. Like, yeah, don't overcomplicate things, people. Just go in with your intentions and get after it and get out.
And if your intention is, I'm going to sit on my phone and I'm going to scroll for 2 hours because I'm going to be learning about AI and I'm going to be curating my algorithm and watching just AI information because it's something that I'm genuinely learning, then go in and spend the 2 hours and do that. But like, know why you're in there. Yeah. It's when you get caught up in just this like robot scrolling where you're like, you can't find your way out of it. Next thing you know, you're like, what was I doing? I don't even know.
Yeah. It's half an hour later. You don't remember why you're on there in the first place. And Dan Martell talks about that too. Like, he says that he goes on to TikTok at the end of his nights and he'll scroll for a while, but he's learning off of other accounts. He's taking information. He's looking at what media is actually really pulling him in to be engaged with, and then utilizing that and relaying that to his social media team, saying, hey guys, like, this was super visually appealing. They had a great hook. It pulled me in. I stayed engaged. This is great content. Like, let's learn from this and then go from there.
Yeah. And I love, because he's like, I bought back all my time so I could sit on TikTok for 3 hours a night and scroll. Right. But the part about social media too that people forget about is the social aspect.
Yep, for sure.
And so you can use that, right? You get on, you talk to your followers, you talk to groups, you're leaving comments, but you're being social. Yeah. And that was why social media is around, is like to connect people, not to showcase everything that you're necessarily doing, but it is meant to be social. And if you're using it as such, then it can be very powerful, because super powerful in networking, right? You're only 1 or 2 conversations away from somebody to potentially changing your life and bringing somebody into your world that you didn't know that you needed until you met them. And what social media has done is made those people much more accessible at scale. And also, you're not just necessarily doing business these days with people in your backyard. You can meet people in Austin, Texas, or down in Australia, and all of a sudden it's like, cool, we're doing business together. Yeah, this
absolutely, man. Like, I was the best man at a wedding this summer, and me and my buddy Casey, we met we actually don't even know if we met in person at this real estate event back in 2019 or not. But for some reason or another, we followed each other on social media. We started talking just real estate, just like, how do we get more business? How do we build this up? I saw him buying one of his first investment properties, and I was thinking about doing the same. Started talking about that. Noticed he went to the gym every morning. I went to the gym every morning. More of a connection. He bought a second investment property. I was thinking about buying a pre-sale, doing the same. And we started talking every single day. And I don't think there's a day past that we haven't talked to each other. And it grew our relationship into something really cool. Like, he lives in Texas. I live in Vancouver. But our relationship is so real. We would share the wins. We would share the losses. And we always spoke to each other with zero judgment. And that was a part of my speech. Like, I'm so grateful for that kind of connection to have with another guy. And I think a lot of guys don't have that right now. It's like, it's so beneficial to go deeper than, hey, how are you? Good. How are you? Cool. Move on. We need to have people in our life that we can talk about the crappy moments and share that, and then realize that you're not alone. Cause like, we can connect with other people. Nobody has a perfect life. There's always struggles. There's always challenges. And the more that we talk about these kind of things, the better that our life is going to be. And then we could probably, help more people that way too.
100%. And like you alluded to earlier, whether it's like life in general, depending on what you're going through, can be lonely, and everybody feels that they're going through something. It's not just business owners, but everybody feels like they're probably going through something, and maybe nobody's going to understand. But having the power or the group of people that you can rely on, that you can open up to, be vulnerable, get some feedback on, whether it's like just to listen, have somebody listen while you're talking, or actually genuinely get feedback from, that's really important. And as a business owner too, like it's rare to find business owners, entrepreneurs that will understand what it is that you're going through, that are going to understand the stress, the sleepless nights, just sprint to try and make payroll, the like trying to bill and collect money where you can so you can pay your people, so you can do this. Like, I had my first year in business, 6 months in. I had 2 mortgages at the time, and it was had made this leap into business, and it was 6 months in, and we hadn't paid ourselves in a while, because the way that it was just like we were going to pay ourselves, we didn't have money to pay ourselves a salary. So it was like, all right, we're going to take on these projects, and we're just going to sit down on the floor after everything is completed, and we're going to, on a piece of paper, I remember writing out in a pencil, okay, here's like what it cost us, here's the receipts, and then like this is in theory what we should be able to pay ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's how we would pay ourselves, not taking into consideration tax, right? EI, CPP, anything like that. But we'd pay ourselves. And so there'd be these swings. But 6 months in, I remember going to Quiznos with my business partner for lunch, and ran the sandwich through, and my card was declined, and I couldn't pay for lunch. And I turned to him, I was like, this is never, ever going to happen again.
Yeah.
And like, can I also borrow $9, because like the sandwich is through the oven and I'm hungry. And so like he bought my lunch. But it was like, that was a big learning point. And at that point, it was like, I had a mortgage to pay. I had a rental property that I had tenants in. And it was like, they were close to moving out. It was all this stuff. It was like, fuck, we just got by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying you need that. I'm never going to say that you need that, but there's certainly an advantage to knowing that and never wanting to get back to that point.
And so many
that
people
is going to drive you.
So many people share that same story. Like, I'll go back to Ryan Serhan again. He went to buy some tofu from a grocery store in New York when he was starting out his real estate career, and his credit card got declined.
Mm.
And then he never forgets that moment. He tells the story a million times. That was his tipping point. He said, no, things have to change right now. I have to get more serious, more intentional, and I need to be knowing what's going on in my finance. Like, if you're never thinking about how are you going to pay rent, pay your mortgage, take care of yourself, feed your family, then you're just not going to think about your finances. If you're just moving through life without thinking about your future, how you're going to retire, if you're ever going to retire, then you're not going to get to that point. So we really need to have that perspective of, okay, today's taken care of, but what's coming in the future, and how can I learn from all my experiences in the past? And that just goes back to, it's all learning, man. Like, I'm sure that's a moment you'll never forget in your life, and you've learned a ton from it. You realized that, okay, we were getting started, we were hungry and hustling, but we weren't organized enough to even take care of ourselves. And if you can't take care of yourself, you can't help anybody else.
Well, it's looking back to your darkest day and realizing that you're waking up every single day to become the person that you always needed in your darkest day, because your darkest day still may be yet to come. So you have to become that person.
That's true.
That future you, or that past you, could have needed or still may need in the future.
Yep.
And so you got to show up every day.
Show up for yourself.
Do the fucking thing, man. It doesn't get more simple than that. And it doesn't really matter what you're trying to achieve. And that's the thing is, you say that, but some people, they're going to be happy where they are.
And that's fine.
It's totally fine. But this is like, it's super subjective. And so I can say this stuff, and I mean it, because it's more of a note to self, and maybe a advice for somebody that it's going to land with, but it's not necessarily life advice for everybody, because everybody has their own context of life. I know people that are super, super happy. I mean, you go to Thailand, you go to Bali, there's a lot of poverty there, but man, they are some of the happiest people.
Yeah. And
they're just, they're cleaning laundry, they're folding laundry, they're doing whatever they're doing, taking care of some of the tourists, making a few dollars, but man, they're super happy. And I think there's a huge amount of people that are driven for this idea of success that they have in their head, but they're going to have a really tough time being happy.
Yeah.
And if you if your North Star is like, man, my parents only ever made 60, 70 grand a year. If I make 120 grand a year, like, I'm good for life. And when you make that and you're making 120 grand a year, and at that point you've made it, you're good. If you don't want to make any more, you don't want to get into buying a house, you just want to, like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to play video games on the weekend and, you know, whatever, if that's really what's going to feed you.
Yeah.
And
There's
that's
no
just gonna be so
one,
different for everybody.
yeah, so different for everybody. There's no one way to live life. I know lots of people that are going to be lifelong renters, and obviously as a realtor, I'm pro home ownership for several reasons, but I think the life that they're living is amazing too. They've traveled the world. They go to Europe every single summer. Like, that's amazing for them. I think we just need to find what we're passionate about, what makes us happy, and then just follow that path.
Same thing with having kids.
Yeah,
right.
sure.
It's not for everybody. I have some of the happiest friends in the world that are, you know, people tell them, oh, you should have kids. You should have kids. It's like, why? I fuck off with my girlfriend for 3 months out of the year, no responsibilities. We go to these parties and dinners and we have a great social life. And I don't want to interrupt that. I love my life. This is what I live for. I have a ton of fun. I have no need or drive or want to have kids.
Yeah.
But you talk to somebody that has kids and you know that they're affected on a different level and they're in a totally different mindset, and they start hanging out with other people that have kids just because it's convenient, and like the kids become friends and everything else. But it's the same thing. Not everybody wants kids. Not everybody wants to be a business owner. Not everybody should be a business owner.
Yeah. Not
everybody wants to be rich. Well, maybe, but not everybody should be rich, because they're not going to be able to handle it and they're going to make bad mistakes. But if you genuinely feel that if you're going to do better things with more money, then go get that money. Go get it as fast as you can, because you're the type of person that's going to be able to do great things with it.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to inspire others. You're going to be able to donate money. You're going to be able to invest in other businesses that are continuing to grow, that have, you know, their livelihoods tied to that and their staff's livelihoods and like whatever their needs are. So you can go out and have this overarching, really powerful effect if you know how to use it and you have that intention.
Yeah. A lot of people used to say, you know, making more money changes the person. And I don't think that's the case. I think when people hit a certain threshold and, you know, they've got their day-to-day basis covered, they're making good money, then they get an opportunity to do more of what they want to do. And it shows more of the person who they are, right? Like if somebody's broke, but they're still giving back their time to a food bank, to charities, then this person becomes successful monetarily, then they're giving their time and their money, and it showcases them even more in a better light, and it just exemplifies who they already were as a person. And those are my favorite people in life. The people that are thriving financially and then just giving back through philanthropy or their time, whatever else, and just giving back to people. I think that's my like biggest thing. It's really just, you know, life is all about helping out other people.
It certainly highlights more of who you are.
Yeah.
Right. Money can do that, but so can everything else, right? In a you know, more of a drugs can do the same thing. Yeah, you know, alcohol can do the same thing. It can bring out the worst in people.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how to use the vehicle, like if you have a real chip on your shoulder and you get a few beers in you, like chances are that chip is going to get bigger and bigger and
that's
bigger.
Gonna show
like that's
going
to come out. Or
sure.
if you have underlying issues like these, so these factors can really highlight more of what's hiding inside of you. And money can have a really positive effect or a really negative effect on people, because there are people that as soon as they make money, they're going to be really looking down on you.
Yeah.
And there's going to be people that make money, like, you know, Dan Martell, for example, so we're talking about him. He's giving away 10,000 copies of Think and Grow Rich to youth in his community. Yeah. He runs King's Club which is youth. Usually it's all kids, but it's like a lot of young males ages, I think it's like 15 to 21 that want to come in and learn about business. All of this is free. He's not charging anybody.
Yeah.
Donates a huge amount of money, like very, very, like these charitable people are, you know, they are out there because they are going to do good with money. And if they are going to do good with money, I believe that they will be driven to do more to make money. And there's, at certain points, people are going to be driven by different things. And like initially it might just be survival. Like in those early days,
of course,
those early days of starting money, there was no, like, it wasn't about helping people. It was not about, oh, I really care so much about the baseboards that I'm putting in your house right now. It's like, no, I want to make some money because I need to survive. I need to eat. I need to pay my rent. But once those, you know, it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like once security is really taken care of and there's a few other things that are taken care of, then it's like, all right, we could go on to this this next phase of our life. But we need to know that these basic needs are taken care of first. And then you can start thinking about that. And that's where I think a lot of entrepreneurs as well, they get caught up in this idealistic of I want to help people, I want to do this, and the thought is really there, which is admirable, but they're not disciplined enough to get past these hurdles to make sure that they are just doing the right thing just so that they're secure, so that they can go all in on doing this next thing, which is a bigger level of service, because they're going to be thinking about themselves and they're going to be dabbling back and forth on this line of like self-service and then helping others, and self-service and helping others. It's going to be really tough to go all in until you have that covered. And that's a constant game of cat and mouse for a lot of business owners,
for sure.
And a lot of people in general, they don't have to run a business, but I think it's a very common thing, man.
It's great to dream and have all these, you know, goals and admirations to go and, you know, donate $1 million to whatever cause, or, you know, give back to your community in one way or another. But we can't just dream. Like we mentioned at the start of this podcast, it probably takes a lot more work to get to the point where, you know, you're self-sat in your business than most other people would think. So you need to, sure, it's great to dream, want to give back, but there's going to be time and seasons where we're just grinding away and building up that foundation so that you can take care of yourself and then start taking care of other people. Man, it's been a couple hours here. I think we should wrap this bad boy up. This has been amazing.
Wow.
We could probably sit here for another 4 hours and keep going. I know we've got other things to do though. So man, I can't thank you enough.
Dude, congratulations on podcast. You're in it, man. I'm super stoked for you. Can't wait to see where this goes, and hope you have me back at some time.
We'll have you back soon. Thanks for being guest number 1, man. This has been great.
It's been an honor.
Appreciate it, bro. Anything you want to say to the camera? Follow New Visions. Build with Brandon Smith.
Anybody that is out there and listening, follow us on the Open Concept Podcast. Find that on Spotify, YouTube, anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at New Vision Projects. Look us up at Build with B Smith on Instagram. And if you are specifically in the trades and home service business and you are looking to dial in your systems, maybe it's your vision, maybe you have questions. I am on a mission, like Blake had said, to put 1 million roofs over 1 million heads. And I'm really excited to share what that looks like. But if you are in the trades and home service-based businesses and you are looking to take things to the next level, anything that we talked about here resonated with you, reach out, send me a DM. We need to be in each other's worlds, and we're going to be doing some great things together. So lots to come on that. And Blake, man, thank you so much for having me.
Love it, dude. Brandon Smith, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it.
Peace.